Rapper Lil Yachty went viral over the weekend after posting a video of himself on TikTok. The Shade Room reposted with the caption, "Lil Yachty got the bang yang out." Of course, once the video picked up stream, people had to share their opinions. Yachty's father, Shannon McCullum, even came to his defense saying, "When you take a page from your Uncle Snoop and Andre 3000, and it's healthier than most women hair. Hashtag rock your crown, king." It appears as though Yachty regrets the video because he tweeted, "I ain't gonna lie, my TikTok never was supposed to get out. Now that it's been found, I am embarrassed." It seems as though everybody had something to say, and it was social media. So the jokes didn't stop. The rapper was called gay, feminine, and someone's auntie. Can men be androgynous and take on feminine characteristics and still be considered heterosexual? In the studio with me, I have Pierre, Capone, and calling in is Rita. So Pierre, first I want to start with you. What is your reaction to this?
Well, I gotta get the first one.
You get it. You get it first.
I'm like Capone. I mean, I've seen Capone back in '84 and shit. His father has a point there. There have been a lot of people who have had hair like that. You know, men have straightened, artists have straightened their hair out, like Prince, James Brown. There's been a lot of them. But I think it really came about the way he handled it, how he positioned himself, flipping it around like that. You know, black people, we're just just a different brand of people. We come in all different situations, you know, just all types of stuff. Straight hair, curly hair, nappy hair, you know, whatever you want to call it, no hair. But I think it's more his actions, the way he played it on, with, you know, flipping it and moving it. Like it was about his hair, opposed to just being him, you know, just doing what he does. I think he made it an issue about his hair. And so, I don't know what, I guess the question you were talking about blurring the lines of that. I mean, we're going down a road where masculine men are being pushed to the side. Not pushed to the side. I feel like they're not. I'm gonna say they're respected. They're about to be even with guys who are feminine. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. You know, so they're not put on the pedestal like they used to be. A masculine man used to be put on the pedestal. That's a man's man. Now I think, and I blame women, you know, who open the door and says, "It's okay, let him do what he wants to do. Let him have his hair, let him wear the lipstick, let him wear the high heels, it's okay." Well, when you open that door and then you wonder why, you know, you're not getting that masculine man when you're walking down the street and, you know, both of y'all got purses and, you know, some dude approaches you and your boyfriend hiding behind you and shit, and you wonder, wow, where's my protection at? Well, that door was open.
Okay, well, Rita, I'm gonna throw it to you since it's, you know, Pierre said it's our fault, so I wanna throw it to you. What are your reactions?
It helps.
Man, there's plenty of masculine men out here. Like, I think we have to remember who Lil Yachty is. He been doing this shit since he was a child. Like, he is in interviews. He used to dress up in his mother's clothes. He used to do parodies. He's been into fashion for a long time. Like, he's not Obama. I don't understand how you say, "Oh, I feel emasculated." Like, directly, when you saw him, did it make you feel weaker as a man?
No.
No, like, it don't matter. He is an entertainer. He's not a role model. He ain't out here trying to be a father figure. He ain't 22 years old. It didn't bother me because he's been doing this. He's an entertainer.
But he's not the only one. Like Young Thug wears a dress. There's a lot of young artists wearing dresses, and who is it? Will Smith's son. So no, let's not talk about just Yachty.
What does it mean?
The door is open.
But what does it mean? If you are a father and you're raising your son, to me, your influence should be stronger than a Jaden Smith or a Young Thug.
It takes a village to raise a kid.
Well, hold on, but before y'all get into it, hold on. I gotta get with Capone. Okay. I gotta get Capone thoughts. Capone, what are your thoughts?
You better agree.
What is your and it's fresh.
You know, come on, homie. Come on. I know where you from, homie. New York will turn over for your ass. You know.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Please.
Pierre said a lot of things about, you know, one of my favorite artists is Smokey Robinson. And he used to perm his hair. And I think it's the way you treat it and the way that he displayed it. I mean, if he's gay, he's gay. If he's not, he's not. I mean, in this day and age now, it is what it is. And so, like she said, he's young. And, you know, he's still exploring. And why is there so much time spent on this boy's hair, and why we have so much to talk about it? And I just feel that just like the cowboy kid when he was gay and he came out, everybody made it such a big deal. They love the song now. They look at the song different and all of this type of stuff. I just feel that people are people, and we idolize these people too much on the things that they do, and that's just the way I feel about it. I don't give a damn about his hair. I'm bald.
But if your son, if that was your son, how would you handle that? And he came home, not a singer, entertainer, but just a
He would be
young
bald too.
Damn. Damn. Okay, well, there it said. All right. All right.
I mean,
What? Yeah. A little Capone with long hair and flipping
it takes a lot to do all of that stuff.
So outside of there, you know, you have men that wear purses and heels.
I carry a purse. I don't carry
So
heels.
would you be okay with like your son like wearing heels, carrying your purse?
Of course not.
Why not?
No man wants to have their son carry. I don't think that's a boy thing to do.
But you said you're okay with like you think if people are people, but this is like your
Right.
son. He comes
So
in. He
wait,
tells
y'all,
you,
let's be clear. Is my son gay?
if he's saying that he's
If he's
heterosexual,
not gay,
he's just
yeah,
wearing
well,
purses.
as long as he's under my supervision, he will be a boy.
So he can be a boy,
Right.
but he can't wear heels.
No, sir.
And what about the hair? So is Lil Yachty a boy? Yachty,
I don't know. That ain't my son.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, then. All right.
What about you? What about you, Rita? Like if you're
I'm with Capone on, like I think we blowing it up. Like when he dressed like Oprah, when Lil Yachty dressed like Oprah, his response was, "This is just entertainment. It ain't even that deep, you know." And so I think that's it for him. It's not about him trying to be a role model to little boys or emasculate or create this image, this different image for man. If you a man, you still dress how you dress and how he wear his hair don't have shit to do with you. Just like when Al Sharpton wore a full damn perm, people still supported him. You know what I'm saying? So I think we may be thinking about it too deep and giving them too much power.
But that's the whole problem. It's easy to say, he can easily say, it's just entertainment. But other 18, 19-year-old boys don't know it's just entertainment. They start rocking it like that. So it's easy for an artist to say, it's just entertainment. But you know what? The kids easy affecting, they don't know it's entertainment.
So let me ask you this. If he came out and said, all right, I'm gay, I like my hair this, then will it be accepted differently?
I would accept it differently, yes. Okay. Yes, I would.
So do we think entertainers hold some type of responsibility? Because like you said, you know, when we're watching these things, we're feeding ourselves. So do we think entertainers hold some type of responsibility?
No, not ever since COVID-19, I don't think so. Everybody's on the same platform right now.
Okay. I didn't know COVID was a reason, but okay.
Ain't nobody special now. We all ain't working.
Right. But what happened when COVID's over? Then what?
Then we go back to the fake shit of being idolized by entertainers.
Right.
But what about Prince, Pierre? Pierre, what about Prince? Prince wore bell bottoms and he wore heels and all of that. So you saying the same thing about Prince? Like it had some kind of impact, a negative impact because of how Prince dressed?
You don't think he had an impact on some people?
What kind of impact though? I didn't see a bunch of men start wearing heels and bell bottoms and they booty out.
Watch the Chappelle show when Charlie Murphy goes back and talks about how dudes were wearing glitter and eyelashes and all that stuff at the parties he was going to.
But
You might not watch that.
What's the ratio, Pierre? What's the ratio though? Did you put on heels?
Okay, no, you're right. Hold on, you're right. And with COVID, people dying, what's the ratio? Ain't that many people dying for COVID, so stop wearing a mask. What's the ratio? More people are living than dying, so no need to wear a mask because the ratio is different.
Equal.
We're talking about numbers. Okay.
I think that Prince got to him because he started wiggling.
All right, let me ask this question. So something that Willow said in a Red Table Talk is she feels like that this generation is just blurring the lines, but whether it's like gender, racism, what are our thoughts on that? Do we think like we're just coming into a generation that's, you know, blurring lines and they're identifying however they want to identify, or has this always been within our entertainment? Since we have Prince.
They're right. The next two generations, it won't be no racism, won't be no sexism, no nothing. Not none, but it'll be the number will be diminished so low. But then also, ladies, if you're looking for that strong man, I really believe it. It's gonna be a little tighter. It's gonna be a little harder to find because nowadays men don't feel like being the head of the household. They feel like women should be. Y'all making more money. You get the job. You make the money. You open your door. You're gonna watch how it changes. You can't have it all. Now, if you just can't have both. You can't say, I want my man to open doors and do all that nice stuff, but also I want, me to run the household or make more money than him. It's just not how it normally works. Maybe this new generation will get to that point where everyone's equal and it doesn't matter. But you open your own door when I walk through that door. Somebody jump out of the woods, you handle it, sister. You make more than me. You got more rights than I do. You deal with it.
So do you think it's more of the women's fault or because of like how they're raised, like what they're seeing and consuming?
No, I think it's not women's fault, but I think women are asking for more of, because they have been pushed back, the role was different, but I think you're asking for more. You're asking for more respect, but I think it's going over the line of saying, I want just to be treated like a man. And it's like, well, you about to, okay, because now men are starting to be softer. I see men not being as manly as they used to be, or taking care of the house, or taking stuff. I've heard all kind of horror stories. Women tell me about dates they go on, and dudes are not as strong, and you pay for your half and all that. Back my days, it wasn't like that. But, dude was a dude, he handled it. And women knew what, situation. Now, maybe they abused their power at times, and women said, I'm tired of this stuff. I want to be treated better than that. But better and over a man, I think it's equal to a man. If you call it equal if you want to, but remember, if it becomes equal, then men start pulling back. And you can say what you want. I'm around the fellas. We talk in the locker room. I'm hearing what they're saying. They might be quiet around you and say, girl, you got it, girl. I feel you need equal rights. You need everything you want. Behind closed doors, and niggas like, no. If she getting much money I am, and she getting more rights, or whatever you call it, we're even, then we're going to treat it evenly. We're going to back up off some stuff. Not saying it's right for guys to do that, but guys are going to, men start doing that. It is what it is. I'm sorry for what it is.
All right, so for closing thoughts, I'm just going to propose this question. I just want the final thought. So can men take on women characteristics and still be heterosexual?
Hell no. No. What is a woman characteristic? Hi, hello, excuse me.
The hair.
So whether it's like hair, purses, heels, tight-fitted jeans.
I guess I'm old school or whatever. No, I can't respect that.
So you respect it, but you don't agree with it?
Not at all.
Rita, what about you?
Yes, for the sake of entertainment, yes. Eddie Murphy did it. He's still heterosexual. Jamie Foxx did it. He's still heterosexual. Martin Lawrence, Tyler Perry, he's still heterosexual. So yes, for the sake of entertainment, you can do the female characteristic things and take on that persona and then get off stage and still be getting hoes. I mean, we've seen it for years. Yeah.
So what about the other way? What about outside of entertainment? I think another question. Outside of entertainment.
I mean...
And the men that you named, they were kind of accused of sleeping with other men.
Yes, I mean, there's a thing called bisexual. There may be some men out here who are feminine, they prefer women and they prefer men. Or I have people in my life who are feminine men because they were raised by women, but they are still heterosexual and they prefer to be with a woman. So I don't think we can just limit it to, a hairstyle or an outfit. I mean, a preference is a preference.
I agree.
And Rita, I know you recently came out. So, with you being in a relationship with another woman, you have to play your roles and things like that. So do you think, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we are two women. I don't try to be the man in a relationship, even though I am more masculine-centered. I've been a tomboy my whole life, played basketball, I played drums. I was raised by women, but I grew up around boys, so I'm just more boyish in general. But I am a woman, and I don't try to be a man. I mean, I take out the garbage and shit, but I still am a woman, and so that's how I think it depends on every situation, every relationship. You develop the roles and you develop, well, here are my strengths and here are my weaknesses. This is how I act in a relationship. This is how you act. So we just...
I gotta ask this question. You did say that you were two women. So does your woman take on the role? I mean, why you gotta take on the role? Why you can't just be two women that love each other or do whatever it is? Why does there have to be somebody that's more masculine than the other?
Well, that's how people portray it. Because when I tell people I'm with a woman, their first question is, well, who's the man? And I'm like, ain't no damn man, because I cannot be a man. Right. So I'm not going to play like I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? We are both women. She likes to cook, so she cooks. I like to go out and work, so I work. That's just our personalities. But we're not into I'm the man in a relationship. That's not how we operate.
Well, but you are the more masculine, and being that you grew up being a tomboy or more masculine, maybe not into boys, doing the masculine things led you to you went with female, which a man does. What about a guy who does feminine things? Will he start leading to another man? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you did it because you grew up. You weren't like a girly girl that started messing with girls. You were more of a masculine boy. You said a tomboy, and now you start messing with women. Not now, but whatever you call it. You're into women. What about a guy like Yachty? A guy wears a perm and wears a purse and acts feminine. Why won't he next move be with a man? You know what I'm saying? So.
I mean, but who can predict that? To this day, right. I still think he's interested in women. Just like Prince, to our knowledge, he preferred women. Michael Jackson had his feminine ways. He preferred women. Al Sharpton, James Brown, they wore perms and they preferred women. So I think it's just up to the person to decide which way they want to go. Right. But I was raised by a straight mother. My mother has never indulged in any kind of lesbian activity. I never even saw it growing up. This idea that, oh, if you have gay parents, you'll be gay. Both my parents were straight, and I still grew up to end up liking women. Right. So it didn't work like that for me.
So like, what is a characteristic? Like, for instance, a perm hair? Because I know some pimps got perm hair. They knock women down left and right, you know? So I know some guys get their nails done. You know, pimps get their nails done. Right. They still knocking women down left and right. So it depends on what are we talking about mannerisms? Now that's a difference. You know, wearing a perm, getting your nails polished or whatever, you can still be a player on that situation. You know what I'm saying? Even if you wear slim jeans or whatever. But now if your mannerisms are feminine, then I think it's a whole different situation there.
The Ellen DeGeneres show has been under investigation after several employees claimed they suffered from a toxic work environment. The allegations of the work environment began back in April when it was revealed that the show's staff wasn't notified of their employment status or whether or not they would be paid during the nationwide lockdown due to coronavirus. One of the executive producers for the 2014 Oscars, which Ellen hosted, agreed that Ellen isn't as warm as she pretends to be on TV. It was very cold and it was very sly, and it was actually kind of demeaning in the way that she treats people other than those that are in her circle. It's bugged me for years. I see this person come across as being very enlightened and positive and awesome, and everyone loves her and is in awe, and that's really not the case when you meet her in person. One of the executive producers of the show, Ed Glavin, is expected to be let go from the show after being accused of sexual harassment and misconduct. On Thursday, July 30th, Ellen issued a statement out to her staff that was leaked to the press, where she responded to the allegations and apologized. After her apology, there were reports that Ellen was considering leaving her show. However, it was later revealed that those reports were false and she has no intention of leaving her show at this time. There haven't been any accusations of Ellen being accused of any sexual misconduct or racism, but some have attacked her for deceiving her fan base under a false personality. Are we surprised when it comes to Ellen's behavior? And I want to start with you first, Rita. What are your thoughts on this whole Ellen thing? And are we surprised? Are you surprised?
That you going first?
Yeah, of course. You asked me first. Well, okay. I guess I'm gonna say I was not surprised that people came for her as hard as they did when these allegations came forward. Because to me, Ellen is in the same boat as like an Obama, where she hasn't had that many scandals other than when she came out and, like she said, almost lost everything. Her record has been pretty clean. So this idea that this record is somehow tarnished, you know, then people just took it and ran with it. Like, oh, we knew she wasn't who she was. It's like people were waiting on that opportunity to pounce on her. So I wasn't surprised by that. And she's been anti-Trump for a minute. And so I saw a lot of politicians, you know, talking noise about her on Twitter. But from my research, what I've seen, only about 3 celebrities total, Brad Garrett, Leah Thomas, and one other celebrity said that Ellen was a shitty person. But everybody else has come forward to support her and say, hey, she has been consistently kind to me. And so from this particular scandal, it seems like the brunt of the responsibility is on the executives. They have the ones been accused of sexual misconduct and things like that. Ellen has only been accused of being an asshole, and that's not a crime.
Capone, what are your thoughts?
People have personalities. It's impossible to be a nice person all the time. I mean, you just saw it a few minutes ago. When certain things don't happen, you know, it brings you to an edge or something. I mean, I could be smiling all day, but if I'm not fed, there's something else that's brought out of me. And so maybe whatever Ellen might be going through that day, it brings out a certain, characteristics that is not comfortable for everybody.
And I know we kind of talked about it a little bit, but what are your thoughts?
That people buy into images and they think she's, because she dances and smiles and gives away gifts, that she's such a sweet person, and it's cool. But she's human. I don't necessarily condone being an asshole. You shouldn't be that, especially if it's constantly. One or two times I get it, but if everyone starts saying that about you or at your work environment, now you also have to understand she doesn't necessarily control her whole show. It seems like it. Because there's executive producers and all that kind of stuff. It's their job to know if someone's being harassed and all that kind of stuff. It's going to fall on her because her name is on the show. But just like we found out with Nick Cannon, Wildin' Out, he didn't own the thing, you know what I'm saying? So he didn't even know everything about everything on that show. So I just think it's going to harp on the person whose name is in the lights. I get it. They're the ones that get responsible for anything goes wrong with it. But I think she's going to come through this in flying colors because, you know, she seems to be genuine with her apology. And I believe I'm so tired of the cancel culture. You know, they will cancel somebody really quickly as soon as somebody does something. And I think she's going to get past that because she's put enough in, and it seems like she's, you know, she's being honest with her apology.
And I know you kind of heard some of the things, you know, before these allegations. What are some of the things that you heard about, you know, people that worked on the Ellen Show or been around it?
You know, well, her show's still going to be going on, and I want to get on it, so I ain't heard much. Okay, I have no problem with that white woman. Okay, you might not about to get me lose my job, lose my hope of getting on it because of comedy hype. I like comedy hype, but damn it, I'm trying to get on ABC and CBS too now.
The other people. It's not Pierre. The other people.
But no, kind of along the lines of that, she wasn't as nice, and you know, she can be very mean, and you know, and what really bothers me is when people from, let's say, who have been marginalized, because she's, you know, she was lesbian, you know, well, she is a lesbian, how they sometimes act like they can't be an ass or something like that, you know, because they've been treated so bad. And it kind of bothers me when they always preach, oh, I've been hurt, I had to come out, and I was treated wrong, and I didn't get no jobs, and then they turn around and do the same things to other people. Like, hold on, you went through that, didn't you?
Right.
So come on now, that's a little extra to me.
That's a good point. So I have a question. Do you think that someone from the LGBT community can be criticized without, you know, being homophobic? So can someone say about someone within that community and not be considered homophobic?
I think that is a very slippery slope. You have to be careful what you say, you know, kind of like with race. You have to be careful what you say because, you know, they're head to head now. Like the LGBTQ plus community has done a good job, like Dave Chappelle said, of ensuring some protections. Like you can't say certain things. But I think that the best thing to do is to maybe just shut up and not say anything about LGBTQ because at this point, it seems like any criticism, you'll be considered homophobic, even if you're just sharing a genuine opinion and you're not coming from a malicious place. That's pretty much how it could be interpreted. But I think, you know, just try to be tolerant and see both sides. You know, like with the Ellen thing, I mean, to me, the fact that she's LGBTQ has nothing to do with this issue. It has to do with her personality, right, which is this idea that she's not nice. Right. But for me, I'm just a baby celebrity, but I know for a fact that you don't want everybody's energy on you. And you have to think about how many people she comes in contact with. No, she's not going to be fluffy all the damn time when she's off stage because she has a million things going through her head. But also, people put a lot of different energy on you. They have a huge sense of entitlement when they feel like they're a fan and you owe them something. You owe me an autograph. You owe me a picture. You know, we don't know the context of all of this shit. So I don't think the fact that she's LGBTQ has much to do with this situation, but I think it's just best to be careful when you're criticizing somebody in the LGBTQ community because, you know, you can be labeled as homophobic even if that's not where your heart is.
So I want to propose this question. So in a business, and in this instant, in a show, and Rita kind of touched on it, do you think that it's important to kind of have that barrier, if you will, when you are in a place of position where you can't, you know, like you said, can't always be bubbly? Do you think you can run a business successfully if you are always like bubbly and happily? Capone, I'll start with you because I know you have a business. It's
impossible. First of all, you deal with, like she said, you deal with different people all the time, and not everybody's coming in your store with the same type of energy. Mm-hmm. So you're being challenged all the time. One thing she said that kind of I don't want to use the wrong word, but I'll use it in the street terminology. It bugged me out because the power that the LBG people have is over black people. Like, they're more concerned about the things that is said to them to offend them than all of the stuff that we've had said to us that offended us. And so it's kind of weird to me that group of people have gotten so strong that you can barely say anything to them. But as a black person, you got to accept everything that comes to you or is questioned. It's amazing to me. So I just had to touch on that because it's really amazing how powerful they got. I mean, there are people who have stronger gay rights than they do black rights, and they fought for that. So it's kind of weird to me. So, but business-wise, It's just the organization of dealing with different people who deal with you every day. I'm not a bubbly person every day.
So how do you keep that balance within your businesses?
Being straightforward. The biggest thing in business is being accountable, being responsible. If something goes wrong, even if another employee does it, you have to be accountable for it. And the number one thing in business is called integrity. And a lot of people don't have that.
And then one more thing I want to touch on. So about the blacks, do you think there's something that our community can do to create those protection barriers?
I think that we're trying everything. I think that there is still a way to go, but the forces that are fighting against it is so strong. And it's just like any other thing. When you have a group like the Jewish people, they went through what we went through, but they came together as a group and they accomplished everything that they needed to accomplish and they moved forward. The LGBT plus people, they came together as a group. It wasn't color, it wasn't nothing. We're gay, we want our rights, and we got them. The black people, I just don't get what we're missing in order to make that next hurdle to come over. And it just, I'm just really, bugging out about it, should I say.
Rita, what are your thoughts on that? Or what Capone has?
Well, I've said this before, how unified and unity matters. When there is an overall thing that you say, this is what we want to get equality and justice for. In the LGBTQ community, that seems to be more coherent for us. That for the black folks, we are still arguing with folks about whether or not you can say the N-word, so it's petty stuff that's still being argued about, that we can't even get to the roots of the justice system and mass incarceration and reparations, because we, certain white folks are still making the narrative, oh, well, can we say the N-word? Why y'all still use the N-word? But there are a lot of white people that are the faces of the LGBTQ movement. That's why it is moving so aggressively. I don't know, maybe we need some white people to identify as black so we can get some shit done.
Well, that's funny because I kind of agree with both of you guys, and yeah, I kind of agree with both of you guys. But here's one of the things: the LGBTQ community affects more than a race. There's black ones, white ones, Mexicans. They're not just black race. So you're talking about a pot of different people. Black people are just black people, but but with LGBT, got more people, more array of different kind of people. Like she almost said, white people, but they got so many other people involved in that. Now it's also a newer thing to be. Race has been around so long.
Jewish people are Jewish people.
Okay.
They fought for their rights and they got it.
Her crew have fought cohesively more than some of the blacks. The blacks are still trying to find a way of being accepted by every other thing, except being respected for themselves. They want to be black. They want to be with the white folks. They want to be with other people. Well, if we as black people get together and stick with our own and work that system and support our own, it will move forward. They know what they're standing for. They know what they're trying to get. Right. But sometimes black people, we don't know what we want sometimes. And I think that's the reason why they're making more noise, her crew, opposed to black people moving.
So do we think that the LGBTQ plus community is empowered by white supremacy?
They have an advantage because of the amount of white faces leading the movement. You think about Caitlyn Jenner, call me Caitlyn, and she got all of this press, on magazines, Woman of the Year, things like that. So when you are a white person, you have more power. And I know Pierre keeps saying her crew, referring to the LGBTQ, but I have experienced more discrimination as a black woman than I have as a gay woman. And I want to be very clear about that. If we're comparing struggles, the black struggle far outweighs the gay struggle for me. So I am always fighting for the rights of black people, black LGBTQ people as well, because they're synonymous in some ways. But, I get it on both sides. I'm what you call like a triple threat. I'm a black woman and I'm gay, so I get it on three different fronts. And
I think it's important to touch on that. What are some of your experiences being a black woman that's also gay? What does that look like for you?
Well, it's just a lot of marginalizing. It's a lot of stereotyping. It's a lot of judgment before I even open my mouth. It's like I know I'm human, but people try to define me by labels. If I say I'm with a woman, then the questions are gonna come. Okay, well, how y'all live y'all life, or who does what? You know, it's like, fuck all that. I am a comedian. I'm here to do jokes. I'm not here to answer questions about my quote-unquote lifestyle. So it's just a marginalization that happens.
But how do you draw the line of knowing that you're being discriminated more being a black woman than being a black woman who's gay? How do you know that if somebody don't want to hire you, how you know it's not hiring you because you're black or they're hiring you because you're a black woman who's gay? How do you know that that's what one of you said you get more discrimination from one?
Like I said, what I experience more is discrimination along the lines of being a black woman, because what I'll see is a whole bunch of white people who are this level of talented and I'm this level of talented, and they're getting more opportunities. Now, sometimes being gay can work in my favor. I mean, like, you know, there are grants out there for being a gay person. There are black grants as well, too. But now they're asking questions like, do you identify as a person of color who is gay? You know, we will, give you favoritism if you say this, you know? So it seems like there are just more provisions being made to accommodate me as a black gay woman, and not as many just as a black woman.
What about for you, Capone? Have you ever had that experience of racism from, someone from that community, the LGBTQ plus community? Okay. So just to wrap up, so have anyone, speaking of experience, has anyone experienced, what we're seeing with Ellen, where, you're working for someone that seems to be real bubbly, but behind closed doors, they're not as pleasant. Yeah. Capone sipping tea. So, Capone, have you ever had that experience? I know you're not approachable, especially when you're hungry.
Right. I'm known as an asshole for whatever reason. And I think once you know your worth, it's hard for people to communicate, because 9 times out of 10, especially in this comedy business, they always try to get you away from taking a check that you're not, you don't want. That's not your worth. And so when you do that, that's when you're considered, he's an asshole. I don't really like working with him, and because I won't accept you giving me $1,000 when I'm worth 10.
Pierre, what about you? For you, have you ever had that experience?
I have. Okay, yeah, I was caught off Capone not wanting $1,000. Nigga, it's COVID. I'll take $1,000. Okay, call me for $1,000 right now during COVID. You got COVID prices, COVID discount prices right now. Capone is an asshole, not down $1,000. I'm just messing with you. No, I really haven't had. That's in anything, man. Anything we deal with promoters and stuff, and they walking around smiling at everybody, but behind closed doors they can be MFs. So it's normal. I mean, it's welcome to the world we live in. Things happen. Everybody ain't everything's not shiny. You know what I'm saying? There's a saying. What is that? Everything that glitters is not gold. There's a reason why they said that. So yeah, don't judge a book by its cover. It's all that's being said. So yeah, I've experienced it, but nothing worth stopping me in what I want to do and accomplish. I don't normally let someone else's mojo and how they are affect me. I used to when I was younger, but I don't let it really bother me anymore now, because I won't see them again, and I'll be moving on. If they were a fool or was an asshole back in the day, then I just let it go. And then if I have to do a show with them, I just do a show with them.
That seems like you throwing some shots. Because I know y'all used to have what would they call it, beef back in the day.
We were coming to the program, and Pierre was just standing behind me. And he said, you know what, man, I got to tell you something. And I said, what? He said, there was a time I really didn't like you. And I said, why? He said, I don't really know. Your New York thing, you just had this, it just seemed like you was overconfident. And I get that a lot. And I'm a very confident man. And sometimes I can see where I might rub people the wrong way just because of my confidence. But until you get to know me and talk to me, you'll never get to know what you think of me. And so it made me laugh, because right away it could have been easy for me to say, one thing, I ain't like you either. But I was like, yo, I've always looked up to you. The movies you done and all this stuff. So I know it caught him off guard a little bit, because he's like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. So it's a time where, this comedy game is one thing, and you have this persona that you carry. I've always carried this before comedy. Confident. I've always been a money getter. I've always been somebody who strived and struggled, and always not to impress, but to be accomplished. And so, of course, people who don't know you, they automatic. And I think that's just a black thing with us. Unless we speak to each other. I've heard it a lot, not just from Pierre. Yo, man, I ain't know you was like this. I ain't know you was this educated. I ain't know you was this smart, or whatever it is. It's always something in appearance. It's just like when you look at a woman, you're beautiful, but you could be an airhead. You know, you don't know it until you have those conversations. Like, wow, she bad. And you're like, somebody talks like that. So I've heard stories about him being an asshole.
Those are true.
But I've never held it against him because I'm the type of person, I've learned that people are going to say whatever. And I give everybody a fair chance. Until he shows me that he's an asshole, he's been cool with me.
Over the weekend, online vlogger Kier and them also went viral after posting a video of himself explaining what he wished he knew before he became a father.
A lot of young men, particularly young black men, hit me up being like, yo, I can't wait to be a dad. I can't wait to be a father. And I love that because I think the men that were a generation before us got raised by the men that were a generation before them. And those men didn't really know warm love because a man didn't express those things that way back then. And I feel like I owe those young men to tell them, like, bro, this is hard because it exposes things about you that you don't know about yourself. It exposes all of your insecurities. And it's a huge emotional undertaking if you do it the right way. So while you see me and Noemi hugged up and loved up on each other, and we got this cute vlog and we make these cute videos and cute pictures, it's because we put in an immense amount of work to make this thing happen, man. We do it every day. We be having sit-down vlogs and we be on the cusp of beefing with each other. But we find that one thing in common that just always brings us back to remembering why we're together. So, bro, when you see this and me playing with my baby and it looks really cool and you want to have those moments, just know that that's the upside. It comes with a downside, and it can be incredibly painful if you allow it to be. So before you take on a family, bro, go see somebody about your past and go see somebody about the trauma that you've endured throughout the course of your life and start healing. Because if you don't heal from that, you'll have all this and you'll never be happy. And I don't want that for nobody, especially anybody who thinks that you can just pour water over a lady and a baby and have a happy family overnight.
That video was picked up and shared all over social media with tons of support. The video brings up the question, do black parents need therapy before they have a family? Capone, I want to throw it. I know you're big on black excellence, so what are your thoughts?
That was touching, and I've been a father since I was 16. And being you don't have all the tools, you grow. And the only thing that has been taught to you is that you have to take care of your responsibilities. And nobody ever tells you that you're a part of that responsibility. So being young, a kid myself, trying to raise a kid, trying to do everything that I can to provide food, clothing, the nice clothes, and it seems rewarding, but there is a really downfall to it because you're dealing with another individual that might not have the same type of vision as a kid woman who both of y'all are trying to raise, both of y'all have agreements and disagreements, and then you have the kid who grows up, you try to teach him one way because you was taught one way, but his mother's taught another way. So it's a constant pulling situation, which sometimes doesn't work great for the child. And when the child grows up, they start looking for other answers through other people. You know, it's almost heartbreaking because of the fact that society puts so much pressure on you as a father. Like being young, my young girlfriend at the time wanted public assistance. And the first thing that's on that application is you can't have a black man living in the same household with you. So to tear up families the way these things are being teared up, I think that there should be definitely some type of education to the young people having children, because it's been this way for a long time.
And Pierre, I know you're also a father. Do you think black families need that therapy?
Oh, well, yeah. The thing I liked, I mean, he said a lot of stuff, and I liked it was just raw, him talking. I love the fact he had his daughter with him. I wasn't familiar with the gentleman until the video. But what I took away, one of the major things I took away that he said was about dealing with past trauma. A lot of times we don't do that, we're young, some people want kids. I mean, they don't even want kids, they want to have sex, and it turns into children sometimes. A lot of times it's not planned, especially a lot of young black kids, well, any kid, somebody young, it's not planned. And it's unfortunately, like you said, dealing with that trauma, because you're going to bring that over to the relationship, and maybe raising a child. And that is so important, because sometimes we don't even know we're suffering from trauma. Sometimes people don't even realize that the fact that maybe the father's out the house, maybe they didn't do well in school, they're not educated in school. There's a lot of stuff that people keep to themselves and don't even realize that's what's bothering them. Sometimes people walk around angry, don't know why they're angry. They're just angry. They point in the wrong way. They might say, oh, the white man, or this or that. This might be something more internal than that, than just what you see on the outside. And for him to say that we should, work on the trauma before, see a therapist or something before you have a kid, the chances of that happening is a little slim. But if that message gets across to maybe some young people out there, and they decide, you know what, he has a point there. Let me go and find some way to talk about my past, and it doesn't give me a child, and it helps me not get a child right now. It's a win-win. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So I don't have any children, but I do agree with the idea of therapy, because most therapists will tell you that how you behave as an adult is a direct reflection of something that you experienced as a child. Like, it's always a root to it. Like, even with me, phobias, I have a phobia of vomit, and that went back to me seeing my mom throw up when I was a little girl, so there's a root to everything, whether you did not have a father in your life and you don't even have never had an example of how to raise a child, so I think we need therapy for that, to deal with that trauma of the absent father. But I also think, white people need therapy too when it comes to raising families, so they can stop teaching their kids how to be racist, because they're carrying on those racist practices that their granddaddies and their great-granddaddies did against our grandparents, and then now they're breeding little racist little rats, so they need therapy too on how to raise their damn kids. So yeah, I take it back to the white man, because racism has a lot to do with it. It has a lot to do with the reason a lot of black fathers were ripped from homes for petty crimes. That little loophole in the 13th Amendment that says you can be a slave if you are a prisoner. So that had a lot to do with why black men are not fathers in the home. So yeah, I take it back to racism. And even with whooping, slave masters taught our ancestors to whoop us into submission. We didn't learn how to whoop our own ass. They taught us that shit. So yeah, it's deep. I think black and white folks need therapy when it comes to raising families.
Well, you're right. But it's funny, when I was coming up in D.C., I met a lot of girls who had kids. They were 16, let's say 18, 19-year-old girls with children, or 16, 17-year-old. I was like, well, why'd you have a kid at so young age? And a lot of them, they didn't have love. They felt like that child would give them that love that they were missing from their family. And so they had a child. They knew that the child would love them, unconditionally. And it was kind of amazing that you had a kid because you were missing love, and not just because you wanted a child for a better other reason. Because, and that shows you, going back to finding maybe their trauma.
And Capone, I know you mentioned you were a 16-year-old father. So, what do you think that was the root?
Well, I can honestly say not having a father made me out to be, or try to be, the best father that I could. And it's no guidebook. You're dealing with personalities. Your kid can be an angel, or your kid can be a badass little kid. And you're gonna have to learn to adapt and try to train, or whatever the situation is. And not having a father is something that was a big trauma to me. Even through school trips, you see parents come in and plays, and I was raised in the streets. I was raised by the streets. I had a grandmother who tried, and I had a mother who tried, but it's nothing like having a father. And a lot of times, seeing a lot of women take advantage of the system of, I'm not blaming them, but there's women who get angry and turn the kids against the father. Yo, your daddy wasn't shit, and all of this different type of things. So that's also a trauma of raising a child.
Let me ask you a question too. You said you had trauma in your life, pretty much. Your father wasn't around. But what made you not go the negative route with your children and go more positive?
Because I didn't have a father.
But okay.
I didn't have a father, so I knew what it was like not to have a father. So I tried my best, even though I have kids by several different women, I tried my best to be the best father I could and bring my kids together so that they will always know each other. And that was my doing.
So your trauma didn't affect you?
Raising your children? I mean, I would say it affected me because I did not want my kids to feel fatherless.
Okay, not in an adverse way.
Right, exactly.
So you said you were raised by your mom and your grandma. What were they like, or what were their
Well, my
parents?
grandmother was the old-fashioned person. You have sex with a woman, you get her pregnant, you handle your responsibility. So that stick there. My mother was a street person. You go out there and get what you got to get and do what you got to do. So those two worlds were combined it where I was still in the streets, but I also was in the streets for my responsibility. And even at a young age, I made sure I had a job to provide because my grandmother wouldn't have it no other way. So I think that if I would have gotten the rules from a father, I would have seen things different. But it's, you hear when you're such a tough guy or you give this tough love, you're too mean, you're too this, you're too that. And people quickly throw it away. Well, you don't know what it's like to be a father because you never had one. And that's kind of hard to swallow.
Did you pick up any of those parenting styles and put, with your kid that you were raised with?
Very much so. As we talked last time, my number one thing was to protect my children, protect them from predators. I've had arguments of, where's my daughter? She's spending the night over at her friend. I know, ain't none of that. I don't know what this person's mother, boyfriend is like. We're not having that. So I would drive to go get my kids and take them out of the house, and I would seem rough. Oh, he always trying to mess up the party. I don't want those type of things in a situation that my child had to deal with.
But here's a question. If you're not in that child's life on a regular, enough to know that other person's parents, if your significant other does, why can't you respect her for giving your daughter over there? Say, I know the woman, I know the people over there, just because you're not around.
You don't know the people until something happens.
Well, that's anything.
There's people who own fathers done that. I just want to make sure that I prevent it in every kind of way. You want a party, I'll throw a party for you. I'm not letting my daughter spend the night in no house where there's another grown man. No, sir.
What were your parents like, Rita, growing up?
See, Capone said something, about women turning their children against the fathers who are absent. My dad was absent when I was young, and my mom was the one who preached forgiveness and grace, because her thing to me was, your dad did not have an example of a good father when he was coming up, so he doesn't know how to be a good father to you. So whereas I wanted to be angry, like, why this man don't want to be in my life, my mom said he didn't have an example, so she always taught me to forgive him, and that's the reason that we have reunited today with our father-daughter relationship. So I appreciate my mother for doing that. But yeah, I grew up, I was raised by my mom and my grandma as well. And I'm inclined to believe that, I don't know, I feel like some of my sexuality has something to do with my father not being in the home when I was young, because I took the role of a protector. I took that role, like I tried to be the one to protect my family. And so I think it did affect me not having a dad growing up and feeling like I had somebody to protect me, so I had to be the protector of my family, and I still feel like that today.
You said because your father wasn't there, that made you become, what do you call it? What is it? Lesbian? Is that the word right now? I don't know if the right word. So you're basically saying you don't think people are born that way? You think they turn into that?
I can't say that. I don't say I was born that way because I don't know what I was doing. Like in my joke, I say I don't remember breastfeeding as a baby, thinking this is what I want to do when I grow up. I can't say that. I can't say that with certainty that I was born that way. But I do know that there were no examples of lesbianism before I got interested in a woman. Like, it happened in the 8th grade. Right. Like, I started playing basketball on a Monday. By Friday, I was gay, and I never turned back. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so nobody touched me. I wasn't touched by a woman. None of that happened. It just came naturally to me. And I tried being with a man, and that's what felt unnatural. So I'm like, I'm not finna punish myself and be with somebody that doesn't feel natural to me, and that's not fair to him either, because I'll be with him thinking about a woman.
So no pickup game with you, bro.
What about you, Pierre? What were your parents like? What was your upbringing or childhood like?
Well, I grew up overseas. My father was in the military, and I grew up overseas. My father was like a hustler, but we worked at, he was in the service, but he owned a nightclub. And He had guns, Cadillac, fur coats. He was, he was pimpish, And my mother was white, and she was a burlesque dancer. Okay, she was a stripper, but it's my mama, so it's easy with that. Y'all looked at me like y'all got quiet on the set and shit. She had the pasties, man. She ain't show everything. It was different back then in the 70s, y'all. Come on, man. You laughing too hard. Come on now. But yeah. So So I didn't have the traditional mother. My mother didn't wake up until about noon, because she worked at nights, and my father would be up already at 7 o'clock. He got us up. So I didn't wake up in the morning with, my mama cooking cereal or all that kind of stuff. And I didn't get to see my mother until I came home from school. It's actually funny because I was almost going to get expelled about 3 times in school, but back then they had to call your parents to make sure someone's home. My mother was asleep. She wouldn't answer the phone. So I was like, oof. So I never got suspended just because of that. Had she been a regular mom who'd been up around 4 in the afternoon, my ass would have been suspended a couple times, but they couldn't send me home because mama was asleep. I was like, you're looking out. So I had a total different way. My mother was very much like, I don't know if y'all remember, like, it's gonna be old school, like Zsa Zsa Gabor. She was very like long cigarettes and mink coats and stuff. She used to come with long, like mink coats to my little League football game. People thought she was the owner of the team. Like, who this broad down here? She owned the team and shit? Who looked like who got all that hair and the diamonds on at the damn game, Little League game and shit? My mama was just flashy with it like that. So I didn't have the same kind of traditional upbringing that a lot of people had. Hence why maybe, I think I long for that, but I also, what's great about it, I'm now a comedian. I try different things because my mother instilled that in me. Like, go out there and do different stuff. It wasn't a traditional life, go to college, get a good job, and get a house and live 2 miles from us, my parents and stuff, and get a 2-week vacation. My mama was in the arts, and my father was out there like that. He's like, man, do you, bro? Just go out there and get it. My father was a little more strict, but my mama definitely was like, just go out, man, and follow your dream. If you want to be a comedian, go do that. Actor, do your thing. So, people like what I do. Like, man, you always working on stuff. You got your podcast, P.S. Panic Room on YouTube, my new podcast. Make sure you check that out. But the fact that we're hustlers. We do different things. People love that, but they're not afraid to do that. They love to see it, but they're afraid to get busy with the lifestyle of not a 9 to 5, a security blanket, and so forth. And we'll see. Hopefully, when I become 60 or 70 years old, I'm not a Walmart greeter, no disrespect to the Walmart greeter, but I hope I'm still out here doing this. And I'm like, damn, I ain't got no insurance, shit, my teeth falling out, and so there's pros and cons. So I'm looking for a wife who got a good job and some benefits. Okay, I'll get you to the clubs and the party, but girl, I need to buy custards worked on.
So how has that affected your parenting styles?
I'm not as close with my kids as I should. I can be honest with you. But I mean, they know I love them. But it's just I'm not the father that's all around every day with them. Now, when my daughter, she's 23. When I was married, she was in the house. Now I was a doting dad for that. She would go on all auditions. She met Halle Berry when I did BAPS, all kind of stuff. She was always around. But when it came separate, you're back to the hustling thing. You're not the normal 9 to 5, and you can't pick up the kid every day, every weekend, because you might be flying somewhere and doing something. And I regret it at times, but it's the life I chose. I know. Sometimes I couldn't get my child for the summer because I had so much work to do. I would have to be home for like 3 months or 2 months, whatever the summer was. And financially, I didn't have that situation like that because I don't have nobody, so I got to be home with my child. So stuff like that bothers me, But I'm in their life, so they know it, And hopefully down the road when they get older, they understand. And sometimes everybody doesn't have that cookie cutter parenting situation, though.
So do you think therapy would be like a great tool for that for you?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. I lay down on every couch I can get on. So yeah, I ain't got no problem with that. I'm about to lay down. That couch right over there. As soon as y'all say cut, I'm about to lay down.
Have you been to therapy?
I have.
It's not always a couch thing.
My last therapist, it was terrible. My last therapist talked more about his ass. I was consoling him. Like, dude, are you okay? I'm like, I'm paying for this, homie. I knew more about him than he knew about me. Like, no, sir. Let's sit down and talk about my weekend. Hell no, I'm talking about my weekend. Shit. Yeah, true story.
What about you? Have you experienced therapy?
Never.
Would you ever consider?
I would. I like talking to people, but I like talking also to engage what they're going through. And I know people have similar stories, but you have to experience what you experience in order for it. So no, I've never been to therapy. I would like to go. I know a couple of therapists that I just sat and talked to, but it wasn't a session.
And is that what's preventing you from trying again?
I haven't had time. Because in order for me to have therapy, the person that I have the problem with or dealing with whatever issue I'm dealing with has to be in that therapy too.
Yes, I would like to go to therapy with my dad so I can hear about his experience growing up, his childhood, and what reared him into the kind of parent that he is today. But I don't consider what I went through as traumatic because I had a very strong single mother, and I think she shaped the way I am today. Like, to this day, she's still a very hard worker. She's working on her dissertation, and I saw her get 3 jobs, at working 3 jobs at once to take care of home. And so that's how I am now. I don't mind working like that. So I don't consider it trauma. I think it was the way it was supposed to be because I couldn't imagine myself being any other way. But like I don't have kids right now, but if me and my lady do decide to have kids, we have decided to still have a male figure present because we do feel like that's important. I hear men saying all the time, hey, can't no woman raise a man. And I mean, women raise men all the time. I know a lot of men who were raised by their grandmothers and mothers successfully. But, I still think we would benefit from a male presence, because I think it's certain things a man can teach a boy that we can't as women.
And do you think y'all will go through therapy before that, having this conversation?
I think it's required.
Oh, okay. So is it required because, or why do you say it's required?
If you're a same-sex couple, I think they make you go through therapy, and it's like this long process, which is interesting to me because I think heterosexual couples should do the therapy too. So.
Absolutely. Well, there's definitely a lot going on, and we know things are going on, whether in our community and with COVID. But make sure you stay tuned for more on the Comedy Hype News Show. But before we go, I like to dive in what y'all have going on.
I got a question.
Uh-oh.
Is this still a comedy show? Shit. Damn, comedy hype. I went through therapy in the last 2 weeks, man. I'm nervous and shit. Since I'm on the roll, no, I'm in town. Hey, my new podcast, Pierre's Panic Room, dropped on YouTube and on Spotify and all that kind of stuff. First guest was my man Country Wayne. Funny interview. We got RL lined up. We got Tommy Davidson lined up next. We got Clifton Powell, my man Clifton Powell. Miss Juicy, we got a lot of good people, so I want to thank them for coming out and supporting. So check it out. Go to Comic Pierre on YouTube and check out my new podcast. That's what we're working on here. I want
it's a whole production. I've seen it in the works. That's a whole production in itself. That's more than a podcast.
Oh yeah, it's a TV show, damn near.
So y'all definitely check it out. Yeah. Rita, what about you?
Yeah, I'm finna say, please don't make me go behind Capone ass again. Hell, he might be in Hollywood doing some stuff. But yeah, Pierre, I ain't been on your show, bro. You done had about 10 shows. When you gonna have me on?
You next.
Don't be discriminating. My crew.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, I need your crew on my show. Yeah, support my stuff. Yeah. Next time you in the studio, we gonna rock out. There it is.
So the big thing I have going on right now, because I'm still quarantining, I did do a big show in California last week. It was my first time being on stage since March. Wow. But that's it's on the hush right now, so I'll be making an announcement about that. But the big thing is if you go to ritabrent.com, I just released a bunch of new merchandise, about 3 t-shirts. My special Sip on This Tea with 2 P's. Sip on This Tea is available, and I have a little enamel pen. So when you buy the shirt, you get a free pen. So yeah, that's the main way I'm making money right now is through my website merchandise, and you can stream my songs and my comedy special on Apple Music.
Wow. And Capone, we gotta wrap up with you. You end it. What you got going on, Capone? Mr. Construction, Mr. Businessman, Mr.
We are in almost 2 weeks in the wrap of the movie Traffic Lane. Also, I just signed to do another movie. I'm was Live Nation and the Phillies in Philadelphia have a big show coming up called Michael Blackston and Friends, and I'm in that where we're doing a show it's a drive-in show in the Philly, the baseball field.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a big show. The Flippin' OGs is a new company that I just started with Lance Smith, where we're teaching people. We got a convention getting ready to happen September, Labor Day weekend. We're teaching people how to flip houses, how to purchase houses, how to have the bank pay for the houses, and do all the things that you've been misinformed about in order, not just to sell you a house, but to help you build a community. Right. I am really big on building communities, not just selling houses. So my brother Lance Smith is the one who put me on, and we've been rolling ever since. So I'm very, very proud of this project that we got coming up.
Ooh, we need like a rap sheet at this point. Just like, we just give you a whole monologue. No, we love it. We love to see it. Thank y'all so much. Thank you for tuning in. We've hit some heavy topics and you heard from us, but now we want to hear from you. Let us know down in the comments. Once again, for Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.